It may seem like a long leap to make from the R-rated streets of Tokyo's red light district to the Yar-rated pirate-infested waters of the Hawaiian Islands, but Like a Dragon pirate Yakuza in Hawaii has successfully pulled off the switch from bare-knuckling to swashbuckling with confidence and considerable flair. This jaunty adventure jettisons the series' typical turf war cliches and pulpy plot twists in favour of spinning a streamlined and spirited tale of seafaring and treasure hunting, without sacrificing any of the addictive diversions and slapstick silliness that have long become its hallmarks. As far as spin-offs from the mainline entries go, Pirate Yakuza makes for an absolutely invigorating sea change that left me feeling perkier than a parrot on a pirate's shoulder. Essentially a coda to the events of 2024's Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Pirate Yakuza's off-the-wall story focuses on lovable series shit-stirrer Goro Majima, and it gets straight to it. After awakening on the shores of a secluded island with amnesia, he quickly befriends an enthusiastic young boy and his adorable pet tiger cub, commandeers a pirate ship that for entirely unexplained reasons seems to have sailed in straight out of the 1700s, and sets about on a thrilling quest to find the lost treasure of a legendary sunken Spanish ship. Cue the fantastic opening musical number. It's a gleefully unpredictable voyage that regularly veers from intense highs to more laid-back lows, much like the waves that Majima sails upon. In one moment I'd be trapped in a desperate battle against a towering sea creature or an army of pirates of almost Dynasty Warriors-esque proportions, while the next I'd be adopting homeless animals off the street to shelter in my personal petting zoo, and throwing parties for me hearties whenever morale amongst my crew was on the wane. Pirate Yakuza doesn't just regularly hoist the Jolly Roger, it also lets its freak flag fly in a consistently entertaining fashion. And it kept me hooked harder than a handshake from, well, this guy.
I've waited long to shake your hand with this.
While 2023's Like a Dragon Gaiden experimented with a fairly superficial secret agent spin on the series' template, Pirate Yakuza steers Like a Dragon into some truly uncharted waters. There's plenty of lively naval combat to be enjoyed aboard Majima's adopted pirate ship, although to be clear, in terms of exploration, it doesn't attempt to match the sense of freedom I felt in the Caribbean setting of 2013's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Instead, Pirate Yakuza's waters are broken down into a handful of smaller maps to warp between, rather than one big open water world. And outside of the main Honolulu hub and a stunning ship graveyard turned casino district called Madlantis, many of the smaller islands are constructed out of the same recycled layouts. So, over time, the sense of discovery slightly diminished whenever I dropped anchor and saw something a bit too familiar. Still, there's enough spectacle and strategic depth to the actual open water combat that I remained engaged anytime I was at the helm of Majima's ship. In each bilge water battle, you can attack front on with machine gun fire or perform a boost-based ram into an enemy's hull, as well as maneuver alongside a rival to deliver more damaging broadside attacks from your port or starboard cannons. These cannons can be upgraded by harvesting resources found drifting at sea or tucked around Pirate Yakuza's smattering of ports. And although Majima's frigate can be equipped with everything from flamethrowers to freeze guns, I soon set my sights on scraping together enough spare parts to outfit my vessel with powerful lasers to cut crossways through my opponents from ear to buccaneer. I was also regularly recruiting new pirates to my crew in every port I docked in, and it quickly became clear that assigning a crew member to specific roles had measurable impacts on each naval skirmish. Individual members of your pirating posse are ranked in areas like attack, defense, and cannon power, and anytime I placed some underpowered or inexperienced comrades in, say, my boarding party, I was forced to watch my crew go from ragtag to body bags in quick succession. After some experimentation, I eventually got the balance right, and that included determining the right pirate to be my first mate. While some candidates offered increased damage buffs or additional fuel drums to burn with my ship's boost, I opted to promote a mechanic into the role because it gave me 2 extra repair kits per clash.
Leave it to me.
Given I approach naval battles like Dave Chappelle approaches his stand-up sets, always on the offensive and typically blazed up by the end, it was enormously helpful to have those extra kits to haul my battle-scarred hull to glory. Some of the naval combat functions do seem a little superfluous though. For example, at no point in the story did I feel the need to step away from the helm in order to use Majima's rocket launcher, since the ship's artillery usually seemed ample enough, and it was also rare that I was compelled to manually put out fires on deck or thaw out ice that was blocking my cannons. That did change, however, after I beat the story and returned to complete the 30-odd escalating battles in Atlantis' Pirate Coliseum, as surviving its toughest encounters demanded the considered use of every ability at my disposal. That finally made for some welcome optional challenges outside of the main story path, but I wish they'd been in play earlier in the campaign. Of course, given that this is a Like a Dragon adventure, there are still plenty of opportunities for fisticuffs, either ashore or on deck anytime you board an enemy ship by force. In the default Mad Dog fighting stance, Pirate Yakuza reverts to the familiar brand of combo-based street fighting that was a staple of the series before the main entries shifted to turn-based brawls with 2020's Yakuza Like a Dragon. Majima can pull off fast and fluid combinations of punches, kicks, and rapid dagger slashes, each attack enhanced by flashy neon movement trails and punctuated by enemies that erupt into fountains of gold coins, as though they're crowds of criminal question blocks from the Mushroom Kingdom. However, Majima feels noticeably more agile than Kazuma Kiryu ever was, with a snappier quick step to open overbalanced enemies up to counter-attack, plus the useful ability to jump and air dodge out of harm's way anytime he's overwhelmed by a surprisingly numerous horde. Even so, once I'd unlocked the Sea Dog fighting stance a few hours in, I basically never looked back. While in previous Like a Dragon installments I've relished the freedom to switch between stances to best counter each enemy type or situation, Sea Dog is basically a one-size-fits brawl fighting style that feels adaptive enough to suit any given showdown. This pirating pose allows Majima to cut loose with a pair of cutlasses, either hurling them like bladed boomerangs or performing a brutal ballet of spinning slashes to cut through enemies in clusters. It equips him with a handy hook shot that allows him to zip directly to a targeted enemy like some sort of seafaring Spider-Man, which is extremely useful for picking off the more heavily armed goons that tend to snipe you from the far edges of each battle arena. If that's not enough, it also gives Majima a flintlock pistol of his own, and after investing in the skill tree to increase its power and widen its radius, I was able to use it to wipe out more pirates than dysentery at the charged up press of a button. So well-rounded and entertaining to use was the Sea Dog style, in fact, that the only time I ever felt the need to switch back to Mad Dog was in order to unleash Majima's slightly overpowered doppelganger attack. Available after you've chained together enough successful attacks to fill up a special meter, this devastating ability conjures up twin Majima clones that swarm enemies and chew through their health bars for a short time like a pair of piranhas. And I was happy to have it in my back pocket for whenever I came up against one of the more brutish boss encounters. Although I think Infinite Wealth's hybrid turn-based combat has quite rightfully become the standard for the Like a Dragon series, Pirate Yakuza's flashy fighting remained engaging from the first sword slash through to the final throat cut, and I found it to be a substantial step up from the gadget-heavy grappling of Like a Dragon Gaiden. Although Pirate Yakuza's Honolulu setting is more or less the same sun-drenched sprawl that featured in Infinite Wealth, there are enough new secrets and distractions that made it rewarding to explore a second time around. Outside of combat, Majima's hookshot can be employed to zip him up to anchor points on certain buildings, meaning that treasure chests full of alternate character costumes and other goodies are tucked away on hotel awnings and various other elevated spots all over the island. There are also countless bounty targets to track down and beat up for beefy cash bonuses, Master System cartridges to seek out, exams to sit, fish to catch, and recipes to cook in the most flamboyant way possible. In addition to the fiend photographing Sicko Snap and the infectiously giddy super crazy delivery minigames that return from Infinite Wealth, Pirate Yakuza brings back Dragon Kart from Yakuza Like a Dragon. Only this time, in addition to its riotous racing circuits, they've bolted on an arena-based battle mode which made for some intense four-wheeled firefights. Meanwhile, the series' standard issue batting cage minigame has been revitalized by swapping baseballs for cannonballs, and I had a great time knocking destructive dingers into descending stacks of explosive barrels.
Good one!
I was also delighted with almost every sub-story I completed in Majima's adventure. Some were utterly wholesome, like the time I agreed to bring an aging businessman aboard my ship in order to live out his boyhood fantasies of becoming a pirate. Others were funny piss takes of online culture, like when Majima was recruited to become a Virtua Fighter 3 streamer, and I had to choose the liveliest possible reactions for him in order to prevent the comments section from turning too hostile. Others still were completely bonkers, like the sub-story that suddenly spins out into a live-action episode of a dating show inspired by The Bachelor, as the ship's cook Masaru tries to woo 5 different potential dates with hilariously awkward results. There's even a supersized sub-story that sees Majima and his ever-expanding crew hunt down the dread pirate Zeus and his intimidating Devil Flags fleet. This chunky optional quest opened up additional maps to navigate, including an archipelago of volcanic islands and even an ice realm, each overloaded with increasingly powerful naval vessels to face off against and pirate headquarters to plunder. Not only is undertaking this journey worthwhile purely for harvesting the doubloons required to upgrade Majima and his ship with decked out drip, including this carved Kazuma Kiryu figurehead for its bow and this puffy shirt that's straight out of Seinfeld.
This is gonna be the new look for the 90s. You're gonna be the first pirate. But I don't wanna be a pirate.
But it's also the only way to track down all 4 fabled instruments of the Dark Gods. These cursed fiddles and ocarinas are used to perform some of the most spectacular summoning attacks in Pirate Yakuza. So it's a little odd that they're locked away in an entirely optional sub-story that's so easy to overlook. Propelled by a breezy and often completely bananas treasure hunting tale, Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is a delightful spin-off that seamlessly shifts between street thuggery and skullduggery. Majima's Sea Dog stance is one of the most fun and flexible fighting styles I've enjoyed in the series to date, at least in its classic combo-based form. And I enjoyed the challenge of carefully managing my crew in order to survive the many turbulent naval battles. While its overworld maps feel a little padded out with recycled island settings, Honolulu itself is jammed with unpredictable sub-stories and overhauled activities that ensured that every moment of shore leave was full of surprises. Absolutely heaving with buried treasures and varied pleasures, Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is a consistently captivating voyage that kept my timbers shivering whether on land or at sea.